What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I will be reviewing Wonder Woman 1984. Yes, I know I said I wasn't going to review Wonder Woman 1984 until I reviewed the original film, but when I realized that I'm a massive procrastinator and it's probably going to take me a while to review the first film, Wonder Woman 1984 is still a recent release, and it helps with the channel when I review something that's more recent. So here I am, reviewing Wonder Woman 1984. And although I have not reviewed the first film yet, I will say that I love the first Wonder Woman film from 2017. I love that movie. I thought Patty Jenkins brought so much to that production, and Gal Gadot, I can't imagine a better choice for Wonder Woman. Like, that was perfect casting, and Chris Pine and Steve Trevor, the chemistry, everything was so great in the first Wonder Woman film. The third act is a little shaky, but besides that first film, I love it. It's actually one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. And so naturally, when Wonder Woman 1984 was announced and the trailer started coming out, Patty Jenkins was once again directing and Gal Gadot was once again playing Wonder Woman, and somehow Chris Pine was back. I was out of my mind excited. I actually did a trailer reaction to the second trailer, I believe. I was so pumped for this movie, and I had no reason to believe that it would let me down, because all the people who made the first one also made this one. And even more so, I loved that it was going to be taking place in the 80s. It takes place in 1984, obviously. And I love that. I thought, like the marketing and the posters and just the way they were advertising this movie, my excitement was through the roof. And I've been overdue for a review of this film for quite a while. So, now that I've finally seen Wonder Woman 1984, what can I say? Well, I will say this. I am very much aware, obviously, of what people are saying about this movie. I'm very much aware of how dividing this movie is. There are a lot of people who hate this movie. There are a lot of people who love this movie. And then there's some people in the middle who are kinda mixed on it. They love it and they hate it. Like, they love moments and then they hate other moments. It's one of those movies. And so, in that way, it's actually an easier film to review because you only got really 3 options. Where do I stand? Do I hate it? Do I love it? Am I in between? Or am I in those 2 little intervals right there? Look, I really don't like getting hate on my channel. I've gotten hate comments before. I just delete them. But, screw it. I loved this movie. This movie was great. I loved it. I'm one of those little jerks who actually loved Wonder Woman 1984. Sue me. That does not mean it is without flaws. This movie has a lot of problems, and I'm going to talk about them. But if you were to ask me overall, how do I feel about Wonder Woman 1984, I would tell you that I love it. And you know what? I'm gonna get the negatives out of the way first, because I loved this movie quite a bit, and I do want to spend the majority of the review talking about how much I loved it, so let's get the negatives out of the way first. This movie has many very cheesy moments. The first film had cheesy moments, but this film, it kind of goes a little overboard during certain moments. There's an opening mall fight scene. This is not a spoiler review. No spoilers. Don't worry. You're safe with me. But there's an opening mall scene that I can see what Patty Jenkins was going for. It actually very much resembled the way Sam Raimi helmed his Spider-Man trilogy. Those movies are great, well, at least the first 2. But there are many cheesy moments. I mean, come on, go back and watch the first Spider-Man and try to say it's not cheesy. Patty Jenkins has said that those were major inspirations for her, and the criticism from a lot of other people seems to be that, well, the first Wonder Woman film from 2017 was actually pretty serious, and it felt, pretty grounded and everything, especially with it taking place during World War I. So a lot of people are saying, and now this film is completely different. How can you even call it a sequel? It's nothing like the first one. So while I do agree that there are some moments in this film where the writing could have been much better, things happen that don't make a ton of sense, that don't really work. There's some exchanges that are kind of cringy. There is some cringeworthy humor in this movie. It's there. But I do have a dispute. That first film, taking place during World War I, that was a very grounded and dark time. So it made sense that the first film was made to feel grounded and dark. We're in 1984 now. The 80s were energetic, poppy, you got neon, you got the 80s music and synthwave and, things like that. It's the 80s. So, for me, I'm seeing what Patty Jenkins is doing here. She's the kind of director that will very much direct the film and make it feel like the time period it's set in. The first film very much did feel like it was set in 1917. This film very much feels like it's set in 1984. And so I was not as bothered with some of the cringy and cheesy moments as a lot of other people were, but it is still a flaw for me. Like I said, this film is not flawless. Also, there is actually a pretty large portion towards the end of the first act and the beginning of the second act that kind of feels very inconsequential. Not much is really happening. The pacing didn't completely lose me, but that portion of the film did bore me just a little bit. And I do think the screenplay gets a little sloppy towards the transition from the end of the second act to the third act. The transitions between acts are a little messy, things get kind of jumbled and discombobulated. And there are two antagonists in this movie, and I thought one of them, like one of their arcs, I felt could have been handled a lot better. There we go. Those are my flaws with Wonder Woman 1984. Obviously, there's a bunch of tiny things I can nitpick. There's a scene towards the end, no spoilers, obviously. Like I said, there's little moments that don't really make sense, but you forget about them very quickly. Alright, we got that out of the way. Now, let's get into why I loved this film. Obviously, Gal Gadot is amazing as Wonder Woman. Like I said, I can't think of a better person to play her. She just owns this role. And her chemistry with Chris Pine, whenever they're on screen together, it's just a delight to watch. Also, from a technical perspective, this film is astonishing. It is so well shot, so well choreographed, well written. Like I said, the script does get kind of sloppy, but there are many scenes that are legitimately well written. I was like, oh, that's smart, I like that. And also, obviously, big positive, the setting of 1984. This film pops off the screen. There's vibrant colors everywhere. If you didn't notice, I have my LED lights behind me on strobe rainbow, so it's like to make it feel like Wonder Woman 1984, 80s, neon, poppy lights. You get it. The cinematography is absolutely breathtaking. There is a scene with Diana and Steve Trevor where they're in this jet. That's all I'm gonna say. It's a jet. And they are flying through the clouds, through this giant thing of fireworks. Like, there's a celebration going on, fireworks are going off, and they're up there in the jet flying right through them. That was beautiful. It was actually kind of a tearjerker. But then they go above the clouds, and you see the light shining through the clouds from the fireworks. There's just so many beautiful moments, so many masterfully handled moments in this film that really made it for me. Also, I did say that there are two antagonists in this film. Pedro Pascal and Kristen Wiig played the two antagonists in this film, and I thought their performances were really good. Pedro Pascal is very much having a lot of fun with this role. He is really hamming it up. There's actually a lot of very hammy moments in this movie. Most of them work for me. And I just love seeing that they're having fun. I love when I can watch a movie and you can tell that they are having a blast making it. Also, call me crazy, but I thought Pedro Pascal's villain was actually a very emotionally resonant villain. Same with Kristen Wiig, because I can understand where that villain is coming from. Yes, it could have been much more developed. We get the justification, but it's all shown in words. You know, I kind of would have liked to seen a little more scenes, like, visually, you know, portraying, like, okay, so you're saying this stuff happens to you. We might be a little more sympathetic if we actually see a little bit more of it happen to you. However, I will say, when she actually, like, starts becoming a villain, and, you know, she has to fight Diana, that was amazing. I loved her performance. I know a lot of people just didn't connect with it, but I don't know, something about it, like that scene in the trailer where she's like, get used to it. The way she said it in the movie, like, her delivery of a lot of her lines, because like I said, the writing could be much better, but her delivery made it better. Now, there is a transformation towards the third act. When I said that I thought her villain could have been a little more well-developed, I was referring to actually seeing a lot of this stuff happen to her, and I was also referring to a transformation in the third act that happens with her character. I don't hate it as much as a lot of people did, but I definitely do think it could have been helmed better. Not necessarily written better with that, but just helmed a little bit better. Also, there's a very nice flip in this movie. In the original film, Wonder Woman, Diana, was leaving Themyscira to go to the human world in 1916-17. And it was very much a fish out of water scenario. You know, there was a lot of really great comedy in that film because she had no idea what the real world was like. Now, with this film, they flip it. Diana has become fully used to this world. It's 1984. She's been living in this world since 1917. It's 1984. She knows the world now. Now, when Steve comes back, he has, like, so much has changed since when he was last in this world. So now he is the fish out of water, and there's a lot of great comedy with him getting used to 1984. Also, for the majority of this film when I was watching it, I was like, I'm actually really enjoying this. I get some of the hate, but I don't get most of it. I'm actually having a good time. Not sure what kind of message you're going for. I can see the be careful what you wish for thing coming in, but like what specific message are you really going for here? And then, no spoilers, there's a scene in this film where everything becomes clear. It's like this revelation. And it is one of, and I'm not even kidding right now, for me, this is all subjective, for me, this scene is one of the most inspiring scenes ever in the history of film. I know, one of the most inspiring scenes ever in the history of film is in Wonder Woman 1984. I'm sorry, man. It's just how I feel. And the score throughout the entire movie is great, but that scene is really where it came to the forefront. And it's where I really took note of it. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I was watching this with my parents, except I was sitting in front of them and they were behind me. That scene, there were many moments throughout the entire film where I was kind of tearing up, because this actually was for me a very emotionally impactful movie. But that scene, I lost it. I'm talking tears streaming down the face, bawling my eyes out, but I had to do it in silence because I didn't want to detract from the experience. So and it was very dark, so I don't know if my parents could tell that I was crying, but I was sitting there I was crying. It was very impactful. And then just realizing the message that they were going for and seeing just how relevant it is to today, it just made it for me. I'm sorry, but that scene, it completely won me over. And I did download that soundtrack, and I have listened to it multiple times since my viewing of the film. And now I actually want to go back and rewatch the film just for that scene, because my goodness, that was just some of the most inspiring crap I've ever seen in my life. There is another issue that more critical people are having with this movie, and that is that the arc between Steve and Diana and their relationship is basically the exact same as the first film. I'm not going to say what it is just in case you haven't seen that first film, or just in case you haven't seen this film. And I can agree. I agree. The arc is pretty much the exact same. But, I don't know. It worked for me. I thought because their chemistry is so good, and it hit me just as much emotionally as it did in the first film. And so because of that, here's the thing. If you're going to recycle a concept, at least do it well. Don't recycle it for the sake of, well, it worked the first time. Recycle it for the sake of, we can do it just as well in a different setting. And so because of that, it worked for me. So yeah, guys, sue me. I don't care. I loved Wonder Woman 1984. I will say, I'm not going to say it's as good as the first film. This film does have a lot of problems, but in the end, I did end up loving it. It's not as good as the first film, but I loved it a lot more than a lot of other people seem to. So, as much hate as I might get for it, let's go ahead and grade Wonder Woman 1984. I am going to give Wonder Woman 1984 a B+. So guys, Wonder Woman 1984, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Comment below and let me know what you thought. Also, what did you think of the first film from 2017? Also, let me know that. Thanks so much for watching, guys. It really does mean a lot. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, keep writing, keep shooting, and keep editing.